That is gonna go. Check. Gray hair. Poppy. Mimi. I know, I just got your text. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me or cannot hear me. I know, I'm trying to get the camera angle straight. My son been here running around, and now my camera angle's off, but no biggie. We're going to go through it. We're going to push through it. But like my camera's like totally freaking off. All right, we're going to roll through it anyway. I'll let y'all get in. Let a few more people come in. If anybody in Discord, let them know that we live. Don't tell him. Nah, man, he be running in, running out, doing stuff. He knocked my camera off, so I ain't come in and check prior. No biggie. He's showing my chin fat that I haven't gotten rid of yet. That's all. All right, new pod dropped today. We gave y'all back to back since we were late last week. Let's pull up the pods. Last week, 200 episode. If you have not listened yet, check it out. Let me see here. Let me click on. What did we go through last week? First 30 minutes or so, pretty much just went through everything that we went through in the pod. Like from how we started to where we ended up today. So that was kind of like the first 30 minutes of the show, kind of a reflection. After that, we spoke about a lot of the rappers, lady rappers, seem to be escorts per some madams, like allegedly. So that was at the 48-minute mark. Whether or not that music has created the diet sex work culture. We discussed Aisha Curry being disappointed in her relationship with Steph. Whether or not that's harmful to his brand. Around the hour mark, hour 23 mark, Stephen A. Smith. Our 40-minute mark, we actually discussed the Lamont Hill Queen's Flip saga on the Button Podcast. So that was last week. Today's episode actually just dropped. We recorded that today. Spent probably about a good 20 minutes discussing Gucci Mane today. That was actually pretty good. And mental health and also the destigmatizing of mental illness in a sense. You know, being able to say what you have and also how do you fix that. Church announcement. Of course, we discussed Marvin Winans scolding out the lady in the line for giving $1,235. He said, this is the $2,000 line. I said, it's $2,000. You need to have $2,000 to be in this line. Thus says the Lord. That's how them Negroes be acting. Gav had a mini crash out. A young lady went in on him on Threads. I tell Gavin to stay off of Threads. Threads is like if Twitter is 4chan, Threads is like radical feminists. It's like the opposite. It's like they all went over there. So he went over there anyway. Ran into an old childhood friend, so he had to get that off his chest. We did that. After that, we discussed Ruby Rose being single in her prime. You know what? Let me say something about the Ruby Rose situation. Let me say something about that. Ruby Rose don't want to be in a relationship. I didn't say this on the pod today, but I will say Ruby Rose do not want to be in a relationship because OnlyFans women's, all right, I'm not gonna call them hoes, right? But OnlyFans women's sex workers, diet sex workers, they get married all the time. But as I always say, I think one of the biggest problem is sex workers believe that that the stench of sex work leaves them. It does not. It is a double standard. It does exist. Future can go make 13 baby mamas, right? Nick Cannon has 13 baby mamas or close to it, right? Both of those guys right now could meet a PhD MIT graduate that would marry him. Both of them could. All right. That's just the way it is. It's never going to change. Women are attracted to charismatic men that have resources. It's just what it is. All right. A sex worker can't do that. Sex worker is not meeting the guy that is developing AI technology for the Pentagon at MIT. Not on purpose. Like maybe like hired, but settle down, have children. It ain't happening. So, and the one off out of 1 billion doesn't count. That's the outlier. So when I see like the Ruby Rose in the comments, and I know like the ladies get upset with me, but you have to admit the reality of the situation that's going on. You really, really do. Because if you don't admit to the reality of the situation that's going on, you could find yourself in a micro version of that situation. So, and I know there's not really any ladies on here, but just for the record, that's what Ruby Rose is talking about. Ruby Rose can get married. Ruby Rose can find a guy that she can marry, right? Women that are promiscuous get married all the time. All the time. All right. Kim Kardashian married, right? Amber Rose married. They get married all the time. So it's one of those things where I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I do think it's funny when they come out and be like, oh, I can't find the guy. It's like, no, you can't find the guy you want. You need to be honest about that. Then we talked about Stephen A. talking out of both sides of his mouth, wrapped it up with the NBA. And that was it. We did discuss the ballroom being built at the White House. And look, this is what I'm going to say about grifting, right? And this administration, it's not close to not being a corrupt administration. It's not close. And I don't go in on this administration. I don't go back and forth with this. Like, I don't like them. Like, I'm almost here for it. I am. Like, you know what? At this point, let's see what you can get away with. Like, just push it to the limit. But one of the things that I will say is this is something that we have to take seriously is the Democrats don't give a damn. They don't. And we have to understand that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are the same party. They're the exact same party. Okay? That grand ballroom, whether or not Trump decides to leave the White House or not the next time the elections come around, that ballroom is going to be used by many Democrats and Republicans alike. Or if we go to a one-party system, alike, right? But let's be clear. If Joe Biden was doing this right now, right, the other side would virtual signal and lose their ever-loving minds, right? If this was Barack Obama, they would be discussing the 25th Amendment right now, all right? It is our job to honestly just recognize where you are. You can't change where you are, fellas and ladies, right? If you're outside and it's raining and you got caught in the rain, you're going to be wet. That's it. You're just going to be wet, right? If it's going to rain for the rest of the week and you don't want to be wet tomorrow, you're going to have to take an umbrella, right? You got to prepare for the situation that you're in. You can't change the weather. And when we look at the political environments, we cannot change these political environments. We cannot, right? So us being on the front line protesting anything, I think is a fool's errand. And as I always say, oftentimes I'm early, I'm rarely wrong. But I know a lot of people are starting to be like, I ain't pro-black. Y'all know I started that like 3 years ago. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that because it's not benefiting productive black men, right? It doesn't benefit the top third of black men. At no point have anybody came to the top third of black men and said, hey, you guys are full of good ideas. You guys are kind of exemplify what masculinity looks like. Why don't we bring you in, right? That hasn't happened. And at this point, I think it's best for the community. If we are going to save the black community, right? This is as pro-black as I get. If we're going to save the black community, it's going to be by saving the top of it, pulling yourself out of a bad situation, and then rebuilding it in the future. Our sons, our grandsons, daughters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters, great-grandsons, etc. Yeah, Mimi said the government shut down. We're building the ballroom. To their credit, they're saying it's being built from private funds. This is how stupid that they think we are, man. This is literally how stupid that they're trying to play us, right? So the ballroom is going to cost what, $240 million, and then I see that Trump is suing the Justice Department, the Department of Justice, for $230 million because supposedly he's paying it himself. Oh man, I at this point I'm actually curious. I can't even be mad at the grift. At this point, I'm actually curious. How far can you go? Like, is anybody going to stop you? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm actually curious. I'm not mad at the guy, man. I mean, he did not do anything. He has always been who he is. Everybody that wants him, those are the people that I keep my eye on. I don't keep my eye on Trump. Trump does exactly what I would expect. A silver spoon, never really did anything. Went to the best school my rich ass dad could get me in. Transferred to Ivy League. Like he's exactly what I'd expect that person to be. Right? He's nothing what I wouldn't expect. So I can't get mad at him. But everybody that keeps wanting this guy because he's relatable, those are the folks that we have a problem with. Those are the folks. All right, Grand Ballroom. On the screen, y'all do see that we have a Patreon. I think this is going to start streaming from Patreon and see if we can link it over to YouTube and Instagram. So going to try to do a better job of this. But as you know, when I stream this on Instagram, it doesn't save. All right, because I don't want to save it yet because it's still kind of working out the kinks. But what we're going to do is probably stream this from Instagram, stream this from Patreon, and see if we can get it over to Instagram. So it'll still stream live. You won't have to sign up for any of these memberships, I don't think, for it to stream. But it'll be behind the paywall if you wanted to go and watch it later. Now, my name is Pastor Mike Will from Black Dads Club. Congregation, I have not asked for an offering yet. Unfortunately, going to have to start asking for an offering. And this is what we're going to do with it, right? I'm not about to go out and try to get a AMG 65 GLE, all right? But one of the things that we found out for the pod, in order for us to take it to the next level, is we got to go on other pods that are kind of within our sphere. Everything is pay for play. And y'all know I'm all about the hustle, so I'm for them getting their money. But one of the ways that we want to raise this, the funding is with the Patreon. So lower tier, $5 a month, just, if you support. Basically, if you listen to the pod, if you're a weekly listener, just kind of want you to just subscribe here. The $10 a month, as we call it, the barbershop circle, what that is going to provide. So the Discord, basically everybody that's in the Discord kind of needs to be on that first one. And we're going to be more active in the Discord. I have not been active for since September. My phone was stolen last time I went out of the country. I'm not logged. I'm still not even logged into Facebook because I don't even know my passwords. So I will get back in the Discord. I will do that tomorrow and try to start doing more stories on Instagram so we can re-engage our community. The tier that I actually like is the Founders tier, and not just because it is $25 a month. But what I do like about this tier is we got 2 new t-shirt designs that are coming out. And when you sign up for this tier right here, we're actually going to send that t-shirt out to you. So basically, when you sign up for the Founders tier, that's going to include the shirt coming out to you automatically. Any event that we have, you have automatic access to it. And we're also going to have a private, either be a group chat or Instagram, maybe on Discord. I'm not the biggest fan of Discord, but I get it for communities. I prefer it on WhatsApp, but I know a lot of us use our WhatsApp for bullshit, so I can't really ask you to participate over there. So what I'm going to do is what we're going to do though is have a group chat. So any day that we record, we'll let everybody in that group chat know, and you'll actually have an opportunity to call in. So if you got questions, if you want to get it off, if you want to be on a live stream, if you want to shout out your business, during that, but basically it just gives everybody an opportunity to basically call in and be a part of the show. So this tier right here is actually going to be pretty good. So even though it is $25 a month, if you ever ordered merch, that's typically what it runs. It's $25. But this right here kind of give you more access to basically being a part of the show and being a showrunner yourself. All right, what we're going to talk about tonight. Not going to be here for too long tonight. NBA just started. Y'all got me missing my Heat game. Dr. Tommy Curry. Y'all know this is one of my favorite. I promise you these Wednesday nights won't just be a Dr. Tommy Curry telethon. But the guy been hitting some bangers, man. Like I don't know what's going on at Edinburgh. I don't know who done got on his nerves, but he been getting this stuff off, man. He been getting his ish off, and this was something that he recorded last week. This was a panel that he had, and in this panel he's discussing race. And y'all know on the pod we kind of we make everything a little bit light so it's entertaining while you're riding and listening to the show. But sometimes we do have to discuss the heavy things. And I want y'all to listen to what he says here.
Concretely about what it is, how it acts, how it affects people that are burdened with racialization. And then white liberals who think often that, it's just about me endorsing the right kind of black person or recognizing that black people are human beings. This is the chasm, so to speak, between how we understand racism as a structural, cultural, and historical process and racism merely as an individual bias.
Another kind of approach to thinking about race is intersectionality.
Yes.
And it's the idea that we only really understand race through this kind of overlap with other identities like gender or class. And that's where the true nature and extent of different forms of oppression become visible. You've been a critic of some of those approaches. Mm-hmm. What's your thought? Why do you think that approach is also problematic?
Well, there's so much to say about that. I think from a historical perspective, we often ignore that the rubric of anti-discrimination law in the United States that intersectionality is based on, which is largely Title VII.
Now listen what he says about Title VII right here.
Jurisprudence is a contingent and constructed phenomena. The addition of sex to Title VII jurisprudence of legislation was the effect of the National Women's Party, a conservative feminist organization, actually trying to stop Title VII legislation from benefiting black people. So in order to kill the legislation, they said, let's introduce sex to the debates. So the congressional debates show that they thought they were going to stop black civil rights gains, affirmative action, etc., but ended up adding sex and then redistributing the economic benefits like affirmative action, entrance into college, etc., from black people who had marched during the civil rights and died.
Okay, I didn't log in. All right. One of the things that what he's going into here, or what he says here, is something that we discuss all the time on the pod, is whether or not feminism is it there to support black people. And one of the things about Title VII is when civil rights came in, it was going to be for blacks, right? It was for African Americans, right? So if it's for African Americans, that would be for male African Americans as well as female African Americans. You did not need to add sex to the Civil Rights Act, right? You didn't need to say, well, women need to also have rights, right? That was a misdirect. And that misdirect was to take the economic benefit of affirmative action and redistribute it to women, right? But not black women, because black women was covered under Civil Rights Act of 1964, right? So what women were you redistributing this to? Well, this is pre-immigration in this country. So the country at this time, I want to say in the 1960s, America was 85% white, right? So what women were you redistributing these benefits to, right? It was to redistribute these benefits. That was money that was set aside for affirmative action back into white communities. So when you see a lot of men that are saying like, hey, I'm not a feminist. I'm really anti, a lot of legislation that goes on because it is very exclusatory towards African American men, right? What a lot of the ladies did, right, when you see this rise of radical feminism, especially amongst black academics or black intellectuals, they're saying, well, if I'm not going to get the full benefit for being an African American, I can at least get a partial benefit for being a woman and kicking the backs in, right? Because I'm not going to kick the backs in of the beneficiaries of Title VII, which I would hope to be me now, right? The only person that's left out of this, right? If you're taking all the benefits of the Civil Rights Act and you're moving those benefits over to Title VII, that means that the only person that it leaves to kick the backs in will be black men, right? This is how we came to the scapegoating of black men in this country. Was through Title VII, through the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Most people don't even know that Title VII is directly tied to the Civil Rights Act. All the benefits that are now attributed and given to everybody was through the hardworking labor of the men that pushed forward civil rights in this country. Now I say that to say, fast forward, what program was kind of placed out, in the last decade or so that everybody's getting rid of now because they are afraid of Trump? Diversity, equality, inclusion. Right? That program was supposed to be for diversity. But whenever they had a diversity, I don't know if you've ever looked at I don't know if you ever saw any of like pictures or, any like symposiums that they have. Every time they had a DEI event, when you looked at that crowd, most of the time it would be very Asiatic and very female. It wouldn't even be mostly black women or women. They say women of color. Like what they mean is Southeast Asians. They never mean black American women or even Caribbean women for the most part. Right. So at some point, as a community, right, we got to acknowledge the environment that we're in. We can't look at the environment and say, well, the Democrats are going to be better for blacks. How are they going to be better for blacks? Do they run the country better than Republicans? Do they grift at a lower rate than Republicans? Yeah, I'd say yes to that. I wouldn't say no. I'd be like, yeah, they do. They grift at a lower rate, right? But are they by any means pro-black? No. I think they might be a little worse because at least one of the people is going to stab you in the front. The other party is kind of stabbing you in the back. And this is not to say that I don't vote, won't vote. But this is to say we definitely need to understand. We definitely need to understand where the danger lies and who it comes from. That's the biggest thing that I'm saying. But for the most part, that's all I really had tonight. I really just wanted to get on there because y'all know I really always, anytime I get any information on what's happening between the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and I can relate it to modern times, I always like to bring that way forward. But that's all I got tonight, fam. If you're in Charlotte, we'll be out tomorrow night watching the game. Feel free to DM me, hit me up. But that is all I got tonight, man.